6 surgeons, 4 locations, 1 goal: to improve the health and lives of people in Oklahoma. At Oral and Maxillofacial Associates, we treat every patient like family. As the preferred dental implant and oral surgery specialist of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and with over 30 years of service to our community, we are trusted by professionals and dedicated to expert care. With 4 convenient locations around the metro area, we are here for you. Trust the experts at OMA. Visit our website, www.omaok.com.
Hello and welcome, football fans, to the final Skordle Pay Dirt Pick'em show of the football season. As we conclude the Oklahoma high school football season this weekend with a great slate of championship games, Mark Rogers and Sean Meek are joined on the panel by 3 great Oklahoma high school coaches: Chris Elrick from Drumright, Lynn Shackelford from Cashion, and Justin Jones from Norman North High School. Before we get into this week's matchups, all of us at Skordle want to congratulate the teams that won state titles last week, especially our Skordle Network schools, Dewar and Sealing, who we covered here on the show all year long. I want to ask all of our panelists, I know some of you were at some of those games. Mark, you called a few of those games, but kind of give us your biggest takeaways from last weekend's games at UCO.
Well, as always, a great venue for UCO to put on the state championships. And I thought that Saturday night's game was really good, man. Played at a high level, very few penalties. Bixby was given a really good game by Owasso. Rematch of the first game of the season. I thought that was fantastic. Some great individual performances, and I think the first weekend lived up to the championship standards. And I think we do have potential to have some even better games coming up this weekend.
All right, and before we get into our games, Mark and Adam Diesehorst, Coach Shackelford, have been doing a great Friday night recap show that's been live on the Skordle Facebook page. Mark, will you be doing that this Friday, and also tell people how to be able to watch that show?
Well, this Friday, you can get on sportsanimal.com, watch our stream there, as well as watching it on Skordle. We have a bunch of high school basketball games on Friday night that we can probably take a look at too. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll recap the games that have gone on. We'll have some interviews of coaches, and it should be another good week and final weekend of the season that goes so fast.
All right, on tonight's show, we'll be breaking down the 6 remaining games, championship games: 4A, 3A, 2A1, 2A2, A1, and A2. We have 2 Skordle Network teams that we play in those games. So we're going to start the show with A1. Tonkawa got a huge 37-12 win over a good Pecola team last week in the semifinals.
You guys want a weather forecast before we pick games?
Absolutely.
Am I in this thing?
Yeah, you're in there. You got to get in the box.
Oh, I really got to get in close.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, what are you talking about?
Hold on.
I feel like I have to get really close.
There you go.
I feel like my head has to be next to yours.
Chris's daughter is getting married on Saturday. He wants a weather forecast.
Ooh, Saturday, it's gonna be cold.
Perfect.
That's all I got for you.
Damon, how about a weather report for next Friday in Norman?
Oh man, you know what? So funny story. I get 2 questions, or I've been getting like 2 questions asked nonstop. 1, are we gonna have snow on Christmas? And 2, what's the weather gonna be like for next Friday? It actually doesn't look like, now as soon as I say this, I'm gonna jinx it. It actually doesn't look that bad. Like maybe 50s, 40s.
Oh, that's money. That's
so
perfect.
we're good, right? But now that I just said that, it's probably gonna be 10 degrees and snowing.
Well, it's playoff football in December, so it's can be cold. That's
I know. Usually, like I do a game day forecast, and usually this time of the year, like if I do one for December, they're playing in like Orlando or Arizona, and it's like warm and dry. And so this might be my hardest OU forecast I've ever had to make.
You can come over here.
You can come over here.
How James Madison takes. Big James Madison.
Yeah, no. Come over here, Abby.
Wait.
What are you on?
He's on.
He's got a Skordle blog here.
I got to jump on TV.
Yeah.
Keep talking to you guys.
All right. We'll see you.
Thanks, Damon.
Good job, Damon. Say hi, Abby.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
You got to pick on any state championship game this week? Elgin or Tuttle?
Well, honestly,
We give you one team in the market, one team outside the market.
Okay. Well, to be honest, owls are my favorite animal. So I got to go Elgin.
All right.
They are the Elgin Owls, aren't they?
That's right.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah. I think Elgin. Who are they playing?
Yeah, they're playing Tuttle.
Oh, the Total Tigers.
Yeah.
I think Elgin. Let's go Elgin. Why
I
not?
like it.
You're impressive. She's still got the sports. She's still got all the
The
sports.
small town mascot.
Yeah.
That's kind of my party trick. So when we go to like the fair or a fair of the heart, I'll ask people where they're from. And they'll say, I'm Putnam City. I'm like, well, where are you from? Putnam City North. I'm like, oh, okay. The Panthers.
Yeah.
And they immediately are just so welcoming and so warm.
That's impressive. Very
You
good
can
job.
do it though.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
good.
think you know every single one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know East Side.
Okay.
The Tulsa market might as well be on Mars. I don't know a lot of those.
I'm better if they play football, but I mean,
Sure.
even some small that just play basketball, they're
Yeah, I
still
don't-
usually pretty good. So,
Hi everyone. This is awesome.
So,
You're always working.
it's
Hard, but you're always working.
that's true. That's right. It's not very heavy lifting.
You're-
Thanks.
Thanks
See
for
you.
joining us.
Okay, we got a guest prediction there, and we got a weather forecast. Sorry, Chris.
Mark bringing all the celebrities on the show tonight. All right, let's get back into
Okay,
it.
sorry, Andy. I interrupted your script.
That's okay. That's impressive. We got some big time people on the Skordle Pick'em show tonight. We're talking about A1. The Bucks will face the 2024 state champion, the Rejoice Christian Eagles. Rejoice prevailed in a close 42-34 semifinal game over Pawhuska to advance to the finals. The A1 state championship game will be played on Thursday at 7 p.m. at UCO. Sean Meek, Tonkawa versus Rejoice Christian.
That looks to be a great game for the A1 title. So I don't think these two teams have ever played each other, at least according to my research, if that's accurate. I think this will be the first ever meeting with Rejoice and Tonkawa. Man, Tonkawa's had some impressive wins the last couple of weeks. I mean, beating two really good teams in the quarters and the semis back to back with Miko and Picola. That's really impressive. And the manner they did it in, it was pretty dominant both weeks. Rejoice had that tight game over Pawhuska last week. We've talked about how loaded Rejoice is and how talented they are. Man, Tonkawa, they just kind of take your soul. You know, it seems like they just kind of beat you down. They're playing really well. So I'm picking Tonkawa to dethrone the defending champs and picking the Buccaneers to go get their 8th state championship this weekend. So got Tonkawa over Rejoice.
Mark?
I believe you can hear the audio stream of that on Skordle. Is that right?
That's correct.
We should have had Abby read this tease. This is incredible. You want me to? I'm going to read this. It says, "Get ready, Oklahoma. This is the matchup everyone has been waiting for. Two of the premier small school football programs in the state collide under the championship lights as the Tonkawa Buccaneers face the Rejoice Christian Eagles for the Class A1 Gold Ball. Tonkawa, a tradition-built powerhouse known for toughness, discipline, and championship pedigree. Used to be known for losing to Blackwell, but not anymore. Tonkawa enters the title week rolling. Battle-tested through one of the state's toughest playoff paths. They bring a physical brand of football, elite execution, and the kind of December confidence only a storied program can carry. Rejoice, explosive, fast, loaded with playmakers. Rejoice Christian looks to repeat and has been one of the most dynamic teams in Oklahoma all season. With next-level talent across the field and balanced, high-powered attack, the Eagles are built for big moments, and this is their biggest stage yet. This game has everything you could want in a championship showdown. Two elite programs, high-level coaching, big-time athletes and college prospects everywhere, massive momentum on both sides, a gold ball on the line. That's really good stuff. I'm going to go with Tonkawa based on their strength on the line of scrimmage. They do have playmakers. I think this will be a really good game. And with ZZ Oklahoma and Cami and Compton Nero, Rejoice can make big plays and they can score from anywhere at any time. But I will go with the strength of Tonkawa up front to win A1.
Sean and Mark taking the Bucks. Let's go to Win Shackelford.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Tonkawa this year. I watched them early in the year when they played Fairview, and then just kind of what they've been able to do throughout the season. And I think they've gotten better every week. And I think they're playing really good football right now. I said this Friday night on the show that they check a lot of boxes you need to check to win a state championship, in my opinion. The biggest two, I think, is they love playing defense. I mean, you can watch them. Every kid they put on the field on the defense side of the ball wants to hit you in the face, and that's not common in high school football, especially in small school high school football. So I know Rejoice, Coach Marley does an incredible job, and they've got some incredible football players and two of the best players in the state. But I think this time of year, if you can run the football, which Tonkawa can pretty consistently, if you can play defense, then you got a really good shot. So I'm going to take the Bucks. I think it'll be a tremendous game. Coach Harmon does a great job. His whole staff does an incredible job. But I think Tonkawa is going to find a way to get it done this week.
Coach Elrick.
There is a heck of a Class A football game that's going to go down at UCO with this one. Two really, really good teams, good coaches. Super impressed with the wins Tonkawa has. So impressed that I would love to pick them, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pick Rejoice. There's a little bit of an inside joke there, and when my guys in Tonkawa hear it, hopefully they get it. So I'm going to go with the high-powered, high-flying Rejoice Eagles, and that's my pick.
All right, Coach Elrick taking the Eagles. Justin Jones, let's go to you. Tonkawa versus Rejoice.
Well, first of all, I'm glad I'm on the show because these picks that I've had have not been great, been the kiss of death for a lot of teams. So, looking at this again, I think this is going to be a really good football game with some talented kids on the field. Again, I'm going to agree with Coach Shack and things I've been saying. I think that defense wins this time of year, and teams that love to play defense win. And then I think run game carries. And so I know that Rejoice is talented. Coach Marley and his group do a great job. But I'm going to go with the physicality and the defense of Tonkawa.
Coach Elrick, you're on an island with Rejoice.
Shocker.
All right, let's go to our pick'em game number 2 in Class 2A1. The Washington Warriors have advanced to the state championship game for the 6th straight year in Class 2A. The Warriors will look to four-peat against the Jones Longhorns. Jones defeated Marlowe 48-21 in the semifinals last week. 2A1 state championship game will be played on Friday at 7 p.m. at UCO. Mark Rogers, Washington versus Jones.
1 and 2 all season long. Washington was number 1 until they lost to Sulphur. And then Jones jumped into that spot. Asen Hansen, quarterback for Jones, behind a big offensive line. Washington is multidimensional. Creed Barrett can really throw. 2 excellent running backs in Dickerson and Hall. And Case Alexander probably is the best overall player in Class 2A. So it'll be close. I give Jones a great chance to win this game, but I'm going to pick Washington. But I mean, I think this is going to be one of the better games that we've had of the 12. One of the best of the 12.
Sean Meat.
Yeah, I agree with everything Mark said. I mean, it seems like this is kind of the matchup that everybody has seen coming for weeks in 2A1. I've seen both these teams play live. They're both loaded with talent, man. They're both really good. This just feels like one of those games that's going to come down to who plays cleaner. I mean, who doesn't make the mistake that loses the game. Jones' offense has been rolling. They scored 48 on Marlowe. Marlowe's got a really good defense. They scored 48 on them last week. That's impressive. Just like Mark said, both these teams are loaded with talent all over the field. I see and talk to a handful of the Jones players almost every day. Those guys are locked in, man. They got a look in their eye, and they know they can go win. And so, like I said, man, it's just one of those games that's probably going to come down to who plays cleaner, who makes the plays. Jones has never beaten Washington in football in the history of both schools. I think that changes Friday night at 7. I'm going to pick the Longhorns to go win the state championship over Washington.
Coach Shack.
Yeah, I agree with both Sean and Mark. I think this is going to be an incredible football game. Small school football is really cool to watch when two teams are really competitive and really dialed in, and there's a whole lot on the line like there's going to be this week in the finals. But I've gone back and forth with this a lot. I do agree with Sean. I think it's going to come down to who makes the more mistakes than the other one. And with that being said, just because they've been there so much, and it sounds strange to say, but it's going to kind of be another Friday night for everybody with a Warrior uniform on. I just think the gravity of the situation that they're in is not going to be quite as big a deal for Washington as it will be for Jones. So I'm going to take Washington, but I wouldn't be shocked if Jones found a way to win the football game. But I'll take the Warriors, and if they win, Coach Beller owes me dinner next Thursday when we come down to get after him in hoops.
All right, Coach Elrick.
Coach Shack and Coach Meek both said something really important right there. Uh, Lynn mentioned both of them really dialed in, and watching film on both those teams, man, you want to talk about dialed in and guys not wasting reps on offense, not wasting a play on offense, offensive coordinators knowing exactly what they want to do and exactly how they want to attack based on the look they're getting. When I was watching both teams on film, that's the feeling I got. I mean, both teams dialed in, and Coach Meek was talking about who plays the cleanest. And sometimes, football's a weird game, and breaks of a football game are weird. And maybe it's that fumble on the sideline and the ball bounces out of bounds, or maybe it doesn't bounce out of bounds and it bounces back inbounds and the defense gets it. Who catches those little breaks? Who doesn't catch those little breaks? I think all those things are going to make a big difference in this one. Very competitive, and watching them on film, I feel like they're really similar in the way they attack people. Are the formations exactly the same? No. Jones is really big up front. You're going to get one tight end, two tight ends. Where Washington's going to be, a lot of 20 personnel. But as far as how they attack people, I feel like it's similar. There's going to be, gap scheme in the run game, and Washington's going to get the RPO game going. But all things considered, I think up front, I probably give the tip of the hat to Jones just with the size advantage. I think Ted Durrell does a great job calling offense down there at Jones, so I'm going with the Longhorns. And that's tough to say against Coach Beller and Washington because those guys do a great job.
Coach Jones.
Yeah, just like the panel said, I think this is, maybe the game of both weekends. These two teams have been on a collision course, I think, since early in the season. Again, we'll start with the coaches. I mean, coaches on both sides know what they're doing, right? Coach Durrell will have them ready to go, what Coach Witt has done. And Jones is, they're very big, right? Big and physical, and I think they've proven that, but they can score quick and they're explosive. And then you look at the other side, with the what's been, the kind of the standard of football. I think, what is this, their sixth straight championship game that they've been in. Coach Beller does an incredible job and always gets the most out of his talent. Case Alexander's a problem really on both sides of the ball. Creed Barrett's really good. I mean, it's really a toss-up game for me, and one I'm looking forward to looking at. Kind of the game within the game and the chess match that's going to go on between Coach Colbeth and Coach Durrell and Coach Beller and those guys at Jones. I am with Chris. I think Jones probably has the edge up front. But I'm also with Shaq on the fact that I think being in this game matters, and the nerves and the way that you've got to overcome that early. I think when you look at both teams and how efficient they've been on offense, right, and not wasting drives, and really both teams have gotten out to really good starts, right? So you get in a state championship game and you put all those things kind of on the line. I'm going to lean probably more with the experienced team, but I do think a hungry team, will bring something. And so I think this is a coin flip. I'm going to go with the Warriors just because they've been there, done that. But I think this is going to be a heck of a game.
All right, the Washington Warriors broadcast crew will have that game audio only. WashingtonWarriors.tv, Skordle.tv, the Skordle app. Also, Tonkawa Buccaneers, their crew will have audio only version for that A1 state championship game. TonkawaBuccaneers.tv, Skordle.tv, Skordle app. All right, those are our two games involving Skordle Network teams. Let's go to Pick'em game number 3, which is the rest of these are non-Skordle Network games, but it's Class 4A. Tuttle Tigers are looking for their 4th overall football state championship and first since 2018 after a hard-fought 49-28 win over Broken Bow last week. Tuttle will face the Elgin Owls in a rematch of the 2024 state finals, a game in which Elgin won 29-22. The 4A state championship game will be played on Saturday night at 7 p.m. at UCO. Mark, Tuttle versus Elgin.
Great game. Rematch of last year that went right down to the wire. I think Cruz Campbell, close to something like 80 touchdowns and 6 interceptions his last 2 years at Tuttle. He can really throw it. He's got weapons all over the field. So Ritzenmeyer, one of the best players in the state. I'm going to lean with Tuttle. Last year, Elgin had a big advantage on the offensive and defensive lines. They lost two of the better high school linemen I've seen in a long time, one to Tennessee, one to Navy. And so I think that Tuttle will bounce back this year and get a win in what should be a really close game.
Sean Meek.
Yeah, like Mark said, first one of our rematches from last year's title game in 4A. I was at this game last year. It was an incredible game. Both these teams have been so dominant throughout their playoff run. I mean, they're both averaging winning, all three rounds of the playoffs by 40 points a game, and they haven't been playing a bunch of slouches either. I mean, they've had a tough road, both of them. So they've just been so dominant. I'm going to reference, something going back to the start of the show. I know we talked about weather early in the show. It's going to get real cold Saturday night, and Elgin runs the ball extremely well, and that's something that travels. That's something that plays no matter what the conditions are. Whether it's cold, hot, raining, snowing, doesn't matter. Those guys run the ball and they do it really well, and they're committed to it, and they won't stray from it. You talked about Ritson Meyer and how big of a stud he is, and I think he's going to have a huge impact on this game. I think Elgin's going to be able to maintain some possessions, move the chains, keep Tuttle's offense off the field. It's going to be an incredible game. But I'm going to pick Tuttle to repeat. It's going to be a close game by less than a score, but I'm going to take the Owls to get it done in a very tight game.
All right, Coach Jones, let's go to you.
Yeah, just like the panel said, I mean, another great game. I think this is one, the experience, I think both teams have been here. I think there's a little bit of revenge factor, I think, for Tuttle. The way that Coach Ballard and Coach Shoup and Coach Brand and those guys operate, I know that's been on their minds for everybody in that Tuttle group and in that locker room since 365 days ago. And, so I know that they're going to have them ready, but Chalmer and what he does and the physical style that Elgin plays with, I think this is going to be an absolute war. You look back at that 6A1 game last week and the type of hits that were being thrown out there on the field. It was an absolute heavyweight fight. And that's really what I see from this game. I think you've got some finesse, I think, that Tuttle will bring in. They do some really cool stuff offensively to try to put you in a bind and have the pin last. Elgin's going to attack you just trying to rip your face off. And I think this is going to be a great game. I do think weather could play a little bit of factor in wind. Again, another toss-up game. I'm going to go with, again, great friends on both staffs. So this one's a hard one for me to pick, but, I'm going to go with Tuttle. I think they've got the motivation. I think they've got the seniors and the key pieces back this year that, they didn't get it done. And I do think they've got a little bit of revenge on their mind, but it's not going to be an easy feat. And I think Elgin will be right there for 4 quarters. This may be even an overtime game. This is going to be one of those bloodbath games that you're going to be, it's going to be fun to watch. And I'm ready to see what happens. But I'm going to go with Tuttle on this one.
Coach Jones taking the Tigers. Go to Coach Elbert.
So looking at the board and looking at the picks when we got those today, so many great games, all 12, and we've said that repetitively, but Jones Washington and Tuttle Elgin, those two, I mean, unbelievable. Just unbelievable games. Tuttle Elgin, man, you look at the records, you look at the games, you compare film, you compare stats, you compare coaching staffs. I mean, across the board, so evenly matched. A rematch of last year's game. Love what Coach Meek said about the run game traveling this time of year because he's right. But that being said, I'm going Tuttle Tigers. I'm going Coach Ballard and the guys. That's what I'm saying.
All right, Coach Shack, finish up Tuttle versus Elgin.
I think this has got a chance to be we said it about Jones and Washington, and like Justin said, I mean, this has got a chance to be insane. And if you think back, last year everybody talked about that first weekend was the greatest weekend in Oklahoma high school football state championships. Well, that weekend was when all these teams played. So I think because they flipped everything around. So I think this weekend's got an opportunity to be everything that last year was and more. I don't know Chalmer really well. I've gotten to know him a little bit in the last year. He's impressive, and he does a tremendous job. And just what he's been able to do at Elgin is is top notch, and I think he's a young rising star in our profession in Oklahoma, and I think he's going to win a truckload of football games and probably a whole bunch of state championships if he stays in it. I just love what he's about and what they do. That being said, I've known Coach Ballard since I started coaching. Met him at NEO when I was not old enough to have any idea what I was getting myself into. But Brad's great, and he does a tremendous job. And Coach Shoup is great; he does a tremendous job. And the coaching staffs on both of these teams are incredible. But I just think Tuttle's got a little bit more talent. The stage isn't going to be that big of a deal for either one of these teams or coaches because they've been there before. And I just think at the end of the day, there's just a couple of more freaks with the Tigers than there are with the Owls this year. So that being said, I'm gonna take Coach Ballard to bring a state championship back to Tuttle for I think the first time since 2018 was the last time they won a state championship. So it'll be cool to see him do that there. And so I'm gonna go with Tuttle Tigers.
2018 game at UConn, about 19 lightning delays. Never forget that one. Finished after 1 a.m.
Nice.
Oklahoma Career Tech. It's where confidence is built. It's more than just practice. It's developing the skills to build a successful future. We're doing work that matters.
To more than just us.
So, when a family needs me,
When my community needs me.
When Oklahoma needs me,
I'll be ready.
All right, let's drop down to Class 3A. Lincoln Christian continued its dominance of Class 3A with a 28-7 win over Heritage Hall last week to advance to the finals. The Bulldogs will face off against the Sulphur Bulldogs in another rematch from last season's state championship game. Lincoln Christian prevailed in that matchup a year ago, 28-27. The 3A state finals will be played on Saturday at noon at UCO. Mark Rogers, Lincoln Christian versus Sulphur.
Oh man, Lincoln is incredible. We talked about them beating Shiloh Christian, who won Class 6A in Arkansas this past weekend. That's an amazing feat. Lincoln could play up a class or two or whatever. I mean, they give just about anybody in the state of Oklahoma a game. I know Sulphur really is fired up about getting some revenge on this game, and they have got a ton on the line, trying to win a public school title for Class 3A, which has really been dominated by the private schools. And so I know that means a lot to Sulphur to be able to do that. Maddox Mobley, can't wait to see him play on Saturday. He's a guy that is incredibly elusive, incredibly powerful. And so he's, I'm sure, ready to play and going to be fired up. I can't go against Lincoln. I mean, they've been too good. I do think that Sulphur will have a chance. But if you just look at Lincoln Christian's points for, points against Class 3A teams this year, I mean, it's one of the greatest margins in Oklahoma high school history. So great game. Bulldogs of Lincoln get the Bulldogs of Sulphur, and probably one that's similar to the way it went last year.
Robert Thomas will not be happy with that pick, Mark.
Well, I'm sure they weren't happy. They probably weren't happy in Walika last week when I picked them and they got beat 60-12. So, I mean, this doesn't really mean anything what I picked.
Fair enough. Sean Meek, let's go to you. Lincoln Christian versus Sulphur.
Yeah, another rematch from last year's game, like we talked about. Two undefeated teams, both teams coming in 13-0. They've both been dominant throughout the year. I mean, we've talked about how dominant for a couple of weeks now. We've talked about how dominant Lincoln has been and just some of the video game numbers they're putting up against all levels of competition from in Oklahoma and Arkansas and out of state as well. So those guys are an absolute machine. Last year's state final game was an incredible game between these two. Like you said, Andy, with Lincoln Christian winning 28-27. I know Lincoln's the favorite here. They're an absolute machine, but I don't know. Something tells me Sulphur's going to find a way to get something done, pull the upset, kind of shock the world on Saturday, noon. So I'm going to pick the opposite score of last year's game. I'm going to pick Sulphur 28, Lincoln Christian 27, and they will avenge last year's loss and go win the 3A title.
Have to give a shout out to the Lincoln Christian broadcast team, Doug Nelson, Whit Carter. We've had both of those guys on the show many times. They do a great job there for Lincoln Christian. Coach Shackelford, let's go to you. Lincoln
Or
Christian.
Whit Carter, man. I mean, again, Chris has got family all over the state in different places, and Whit from Sulphur and the Lincoln broadcast. He could be a double agent. You never know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, we got to give a shout out since we brought up Shiloh Christian. I mean, it's Fairfax's own Tucker Barnard's the head coach at Shiloh. Not only did they beat the 6A or win in the 6A state championship, I don't think Greenwood had lost in a couple of years. Am I right on that, Justin? And all Tucker did was roll in and put 70 on the board in the finals in the 6A game, which is pretty incredible. And then, I think they gave up almost that much to Lincoln when they played them earlier in the year. But Lincoln's, we've talked about it for the last month. I mean, they're a machine. They really are. They're really, really good, all phases of the game. But I'm kind of like Sean. I mean, I've just for the last 2 weeks and all day today, I'm just like, and maybe it's the public school guy in me that, is pulling as hard as I can pull for a public school to win 3A. But I love Coach Cole. I love the job that he does in Sulphur. And I just think I'm kind of like Coach Meek. I think Coach Dixon's maybe going to have a little bit of hand in this on Saturday, and the Sulphur Bulldogs are going to find a way to get it done. So I'm going to take Sulphur and buck the what everybody else across the state probably thinks, maybe outside of a few of us. But I'm taking Sulphur, and I think it'll be an unbelievable football game Saturday. So I'll take Coach Cole and the Sulphur Bulldogs.
Coach Jones.
This is one of those you look at, kind of comparative. Lincoln's one of those teams you look at, big. I'm going to take Bixby for instance. Every year you see them, you're like, man, it's got to end, right? They can't keep replicating what they do, and then all of a sudden they throw out a team that averages 68 points a game. You look at Carl Albert. You keep thinking it's going to fall off, right? They go through new coaches, and again, they just carry on that tradition. Lincoln's kind of one of those schools, right? Again, the things that they've been able to do, the dominant fashion that they've been able to play in, you just think at some point in time it's going to end, and the next year they're even better. And I think Coach Ricky does a phenomenal job. Those guys have it right from third grade all the way up to their high school team, and they're all Lincoln Bulldogs through and through, and they're dominant in what they do. But then I got to see, obviously know Coach Cole and those guys down at Sulphur for a long time. Got to watch those guys get off the bus, get ready to go, and really get out in the game against Perkins and just absolutely dominate them. And really never panicked. I remember, there's a 3rd and 9 at the 1 yard line. And Sulphur, who ran the ball really effectively, decides, hey, we're just going to throw the ball here, and they hit it for a 99-yard touchdown. And score. And, that proved to me right there in that one play that Sulphur can do it a bunch of different ways. There's a different belief system. Just my experience in watching these teams and how they operate, there's a belief in their kids and what they do. And so, what a great showdown to have a chance to play a team. Very, very often in life do you get a chance to replicate and rectify wrong, right? And for them, they're sitting there with a chance to win the game. Coach Cole makes the decision. He's going to go for 2. And I mean, I'm down there in the end zone. They're literally 6 inches away from winning that game last year. And I remember, Corey walking off the field, and Corey's not a guy to get down very often, but you could just tell in his mind, it's like, man, should I have just kicked it there? And I think it was Coach Gillum that walked up beside him. He's like, hey, man, don't worry about that. We'll have another shot at this again, and I want you to make the same decision again. And so, what a better story that would be than them to be tied up and Coach Cole to have to go for two again and them get it in. And so, again, love both teams. I love this setup. I love the storylines here. I'm going to go with Sulphur just because I saw them live. I saw these guys in what the look in their eyes are. They've this is kind of a destiny thing for me, just looking at them, and I just think whether it is Coach Dixon or it's the Sulphur Bulldogs, it's the town of Sulphur, they're going to go play. And the last thing I'm going to say about Sulphur, man, you talk about some wild fans. They're up, I think, 3 touchdowns, and they only play with 10 on a play, and man, they were letting Coach Cole have it. Right? Asked him if he couldn't count to 11. And, but it's just one of those things, the accountability there. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. I hope the storyline pans out. I hope he's got a chance to go for 2 and does it. But I'm going to go with the Bulldogs on this one.
Coach Elrick, finish us up, Lincoln Christian versus Sulphur.
I like the way Coach Jones is thinking. He's got it all mapped out right to the end of it. I say let's go with that. Oddly enough, I'm piling on the Sulphur thing. I want to see the public schools win it. And, it really looks like Lincoln Christian slipping defensively. They gave up a touchdown last week. It's a little abnormal for those guys. But with the competitiveness of the game, I would really, really like to see Sulphur win it. But also, man, those guys are darn good. They can really go. Hey, quick side question. Lynn, did Coach Hawley go with Tucker to Shiloh?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I thought he did. Hey, tip of the hat to those guys, right?
Feed the captain.
Eat the captain.
Eat the captain. Yeah, that's what it is. Eat the captain. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's there. He's great. He does a tremendous job. No, it's basically it's Stillwater East, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his son, Kobe, who's my dude's age, I think he's coaching safeties out there too. That's what they were telling me.
Yes.
So anyway, back to the main point. I'm going Sulphur. I'd love to see those dudes get it done. I think it's their time to get it done. I think they're hungry. I think they're ready to go. So I'm going with the Sulphur Bulldogs.
All right, 2 more games to pick tonight. We're gone to the 2A2 state championship game, which will feature Vian versus Adair. This would be Vian's 2nd straight appearance in the state finals, falling to Davis a season ago. Adair advanced to the finals with a 42-40 win over Stroud last week. The 2A2 finals will be played on Friday at noon. Mark Rogers, Adair, Vian.
Vian was able to get revenge on Davis and keep them kind of at bay. We had a great game that Chris was at, that he saw Stroud and Adair in Ponca City, that Adair won. I think this is a tough one to pick. Mason Wright, outstanding player for Vian. They got a bunch of guys back that were in the championship game a year ago. Adair also is very good. Cooper McCord, there was a video of him running over a kid from Stroud that was on my TikTok feed that probably should have had an NC-17 rating. It was really, really physical. So I'm going to go with Adair to win it. I think it's close to a toss-up, and probably Vian maybe a little bit favored, but I'm going to go with Adair.
Sean.
Well, I appreciate Coach Jones's breakdown of that Lincoln Christian Sulphur ending, man. But I mean, and I referenced that for this reason. I know we said it a couple times tonight, but it feels like every one of these games can come down to one play. It really does. I mean, I think every game we've talked about at this point feels like it could be a 1-possession game in the last minute, a 2-point conversion, something like that. I mean, all these truly are incredible games and feel like toss-ups. I think this is no different. I think this Adair Vian game, you can pick either side and you can justify it and make it make sense. These are 2 really, really good teams. To me, kind of interesting storyline here is Adair offensively scoring 40+ on everybody, and they have all year. And then you look at Vian, I mean, shutting out Davis last week, that's pretty impressive. So you look at Vian defensively, can they slow Adair down? Can they get enough stops? Again, just truly a pick 'em game. I think it's going to come down to a lot of the things we've been referencing all night. with which team plays clean, which team can, not turn the ball over, take it away from the other team, things like that. So I think this is a toss-up pick 'em. Both teams have won state title in school history. I'm going to pick Adair to get their second. So Adair over Vian.
Coach Elrick.
So, real quick reference on what Mark was talking about with the NC-17 hit. So the kid that got run over in that is actually one of my good friends' son. He is a freshman starting on a really, really good high school football team and probably learned a lesson on that one at the goal line. But I promise you, you haven't seen the last of number 12 from Stroud. Probably in a football uniform, but for sure, standing on the pitcher's mound over the next few years. He's a really, really good athlete. The Stroud Adair game was bananas. It was bonkers. It was crazy. It was back and forth. It was everything you would want a really good 2A game to be. Crowds, cheer, crazy plays. Stroud came up a little bit short. I'm going to give the nod to Vian in this one. I think them with the win over Davis and shutting out Davis proved to me that they can load up and stop the run game. Now, Adair's not going to go 32 personnel run game. They're going to spread it out and they're going to use formations a little bit differently. But they still want to run the ball. The quarterback's a tough runner. He's also a really good linebacker, by the way. It's great on the other side of the ball. Adair across the board, I thought up front, O-line, D-line kids were really good. Just a really well-coached team. But I think Vian getting the win over Davis was a huge thing for them, maybe getting the monkey off their back a little bit on that one. And a not real big surprise, they've got a great player with the last name of Wright at Vian. So I'm going to go with Vian in this one.
Yeah, that Stroud team you mentioned, Coach Elrick, that's the only team that beat Tonkawa this year, 18-13 back in September. Coach Shack, let's go to you. Adair versus Vian.
Before last week, I would have, if you would have asked me, I would have probably said Adair was going to, even though I picked Stroud to beat Adair, I would have said Adair was probably better than Vian. But we all talked about it last week, just Davis and what a problem they are in the playoffs. And for Vian to just go down there and shut them out was pretty impressive. I watched Vian on film once this year. They've got some talent. They do a really good job. I just think we've said it before on here tonight. We'll probably say it again, but I think defense matters in state championship games. It just does. And I think Vian's a little bit better on that side of the ball. The right kid's really, really good, really good. And they've been here before, and I think that's going to matter a little bit too. I think it's got a chance, just like all of them we've talked about tonight. I think it's got a chance to be a tremendous game. But like Chris has said before, if you get an opportunity also to take a Wolverine, I mean, you got to do that. So I'm taking the Wolverines to get it done.
Coach Jones.
Yeah, just echoing the same sentiments. I think this is, again, a good game. I think both teams are playing well. Again, I think the way that Adair won that game last week, kind of as another notch to the pedigree in the fight that those guys have. Then you flip on the other side of what Vian was able to do to Davis is pretty remarkable in its own right. And so, I'm going to stick with kind of my philosophy that defense in run game travel and win championships. And so I'm going to go with Vian on this. I think this could go either way, but I'm going to go with the Wolverines.
All right, our last pick'em of the year, Class A2, Tallahena versus Hominy for a gold ball to be played Thursday at noon at UCO. Tallahena and Fairland had an instant classic in the semifinals, which ended in a 47-46 win for Tallahena. Hominy defeated Allen 44-21 to give the Bucks a chance to win the school's sixth state title and first since 2016. Mark Rogers, suit and tie, you're getting ready to go on KOCO here as soon as we end the show, but give us your pick, Tallahena versus Hominy.
Tallahena made the championship game last year with a bunch of sophomores and juniors in the starting lineup, and their quarterback Landon Griffin had a great game last week against Fairland, and they piled up a lot of points. Blaine Hipp is another really good player for Hominy. Their quarterback, Hominy's two losses this year to Pawhuska and to Pawnee, and they're both pretty close games. They did beat Fairland in the regular season and were able to hold them down a little bit. So great tradition in Hominy. We have cataloged kind of the resilience of the Tallahena football program, and they went through a few classes in which they didn't have enough players to play. Had a couple players that moved out to McAllister and stood out for a Class 5A team. And now they get the numbers built back up, and I think they're going to be around for a long time in Class A. I'm going to go with Hominy over Tallahena.
Sean.
Yeah, again, two really good football teams. I'll reference a couple of Mark's points. I think Hominy played a really tough schedule early. They're non-district, Pawnee and Pawhuska. I think their district probably a little tougher too. I think that's gonna prove valuable for them. I think they've been in a few more alley fights throughout the season than Tallahena has. Again, two really good football teams, a lot of tradition on both sides. I'm going to pick Hominy to get it done in a close game. Probably less than a score again, like we've talked about with a lot of other games. But I'll pick the Bucks over the Tigers in a close game.
Sean and Mark both going with the Bucks. Coach Jones, go to you. Tallahena versus Hominy.
Was the Tallahena game that come down to a overtime game last week, or was that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got?
It wasn't.
No, that
It
was
wasn't in overtime.
Okay.
Tallahena scored with 26 seconds left to beat them.
Anybody got any audio of Kelly Gravitt at the end of that game?
Oh yeah, you can look it up on TikTok. It was insane. He sent me the film today. I watched it. It was bananas. Some little poor water boy just got trucked on the sideline when they scored their touchdown to go ahead. But it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I can only imagine if that went to overtime what his speech was going to be. But I think for me, first of all, I want to say hats off to Coach Laverty at Fairland. I mean, the job that he did, I kind of referenced it last week, and then really thought they were, Tallahena was going to beat those guys by a couple touchdowns, and I think they got better and better at Fairland as the year went on, in some belief there. But to the game at hand, gosh, I bet Coach Gravitt hasn't slept yet. Probably won't sleep until the early hours of Sunday. But I know he'll have his guys ready to play. Obviously, Hominy has the tradition in what those guys do. Again, two teams that are both coached really, really well. Guys that are going to play extremely hard. Again, this is a toss-up game to me. I kind of want to go with the tradition, but then I know that the storyline with Tallahena and what they've been able to do in 12-0, wire to wire. I'm going to go with Tallahena on this, and Coach Gravitt. I think it's a great story. Wouldn't be shocked if Hominy wins, but I think this is going to be a great game. It's great storylines. Excited to see this one as well.
Coach Elrick.
I could see either team winning it for sure. I mean, it's that kind of game. I mean, it's a championship game. I'm going to go with Tallahena. I think the way they won last week, not having any real close games, the kind of question going into it for me was, how do they respond if they get in a dogfight? Turns out they responded pretty good. I think that speaks volumes for those guys. I human emotion, kind of love the storyline from where they've been. Homony's had a great year. They've got a really, really good team. Coach Christian up there does a great job with those guys. Kind of pulling for the Golden Eagles. So I'm going to go Tallahena.
All right, last pick of the year, Coach Shack.
So I've got some relatives that have some Hominy ties. Shout out to Tim Shadlow, and if you meet Tim, he'll tell you what year he was an All-Stater at Hominy. Buck football is a big, big deal. I see Tim on Thanksgiving and Christmases forever, and he'd know more about the teams we were playing than I did a lot of times. I mean, taking a deep dive into high school football is really important. So I think Coach Christian he'll have Hominy ready to go, and I think it's going to be a tremendous game. But Coach Gravitt is a great friend of mine, born and raised in Tallahena, and there's nothing means more to him than Tallahena football and just the kids down there. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Just the story is incredible, and I really hope that they're able to pull it off Thursday. And even if they don't, somebody needs to really take a deep dive and do a story about what's gone on down there in the last few years. And for him to have the resiliency to keep fighting and keep scratching to even just have football is a story worth telling. So I can't tell you how hard I'm pulling for Talahina and how much I would love to see him and those kids win a state championship on Thursday afternoon. And on top of that, they're really good. They're really good. I mean, I watched them today in the game against Fairland. Like Justin said, Coach Laverty had. I mean, Fairland was really good. It's a tremendous football game to watch. It's a shame that no one was able to see it unless you were there on Friday. But it was a tremendous game, and I think this Thursday afternoon has got a chance to be a tremendous game as well. But I'm going to take the Golden Tigers, and it'll make my weekend if Coach Gravitt's able to win a state championship. So 100%, I'm going with my heart. And sorry, Tim and everybody else in Buck Country, but I hope Talahina pulls it out.
Well, I got one last question for you guys before we go. Any of these games this weekend decided by more than 20 points?
No.
I mean, I've just the chances are maybe one of them would be, but I think probably that I would say at most one, but if you gave me over under a half, I would probably take under.
Were any of them A1 was last year, wasn't it? With Joyce kind of rolled hooker. I think that was the only one. Short of just the wheels falling off of somebody's train or some injury happening or something like that. No, I can't. I don't see it. But also, what do I know? I thought Walika was going to win last week, so.
Well, I guess we'll have to find a new expert on the panel next year for Shaq because he's.
Well, don't take this the wrong way, but I hope I never get to do this again because that means we're playing.
Fair enough. We obviously wish the best for Cash and Drumright and Norman North. Really appreciate these three coaches. They've been tremendous guests throughout the playoffs and really giving us a lot of their time. And we know a lot of these guys are athletic directors as well. There's hoops going on and other things, and really appreciate you guys joining us.
Andy.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Hey, one thing I think is worth mentioning, a shout out to our association, the Football Coaches Association, the OSSAA, for years ago, making the move to move all the games to UCO. That's a really cool thing that I hope doesn't get overshadowed because it hasn't always been that way. It's a great fan experience. It's a great experience for the kids, the teams. It's a destination. I don't know. Just wanted to get that out there. That's a big time move.
Yeah, I'm going to add on to that. UCO does a tremendous job.
Absolutely.
They roll out the red carpet for these teams in the hospitality that they have. Obviously, it was a fight to get them all moved to one location. I'm glad we won that. I think it's the proof is in the pudding. And shout out to all the guys that were beating that drum. But what do we know? We're football coaches, but I think we're right most of the time. So, again, just happy with it. I think it's an awesome experience, and will be for the near future. I think they're doing an even better job of trying to make this experience great with the media days, and we'll continue to try to improve that. But, it's a great showcase of Oklahoma high school football. And I think, more and more people around our region are starting to notice that we play really good football here, right? I know Arkansas, our Lincoln beat those guys in no offense to Shiloh, but we play good football in Oklahoma and well coached at every level. And so it's been something to proud of to be a part of and watch these guys go to work.
Yeah, well said, guys. And certainly agree with that. This is Andy Campbell's opinion, not from anybody at Skordle, but as a busy dad of three, I wish that these games were more visible throughout all the playoffs. I'm not sure I'll be able to make it up to UCO this weekend, but these are tremendous games. I think everybody in Oklahoma should be able to easily watch and easily see, and hopefully that we can continue to work through that process. But anyway, from all of us here at Skordle, thank you for joining us on the Pay Dirt Pick'em show all year long. I think Adam said this is our 16th show. Really have enjoyed all the guests that we've had on and our tremendous sponsors as well. Couldn't do this without them. So these coaches and again have been tremendous. Really appreciate having them on. Tom Nelson, Mark Rogers, Adam Dieselhorst, the rest of the crew will be bringing you a lot of Skordle basketball games here over the next few months. And here on the Skordle Pay Dirt Pick'em Show, we will see you again in August 2026 for another great season of Oklahoma High School football.